Hello, ICW fans! Here I am. It's been quite some time, but here is a review of a past ICW event. It was Back to the Boulevard. This show took place back on May 16th, 2003 at the Elks Lodge on Queens Boulevard. And it was the first time ICW ran in that place in nearly a year, because they had come back a few months earlier that year, running two shows in Passaic, New Jersey. Now, this very event had pre-show matches. The first pre-show match, we saw Johnny TNT go one-on-one with Takashita. All apologies, I got that name wrong. And folks, I still have this show on videotape, but I haven't watched it in ages, so everything's going off memory here. All right? Takashita, who's not even Asian, didn't know who that was, but Johnny TNT I had seen months earlier in Frank Goodman's USA Pro Wrestling. I thought Johnny TNT had some potential. He actually was victorious over Takashita in this very match. Next pre-show match, we see Brian XL versus Angel Jr. or Angel Maximo. They said he was like a relative of the SAT. I don't know if that's true or not. The fans were all over Brian XL, chanting little bow wow at him, because back then he had his hair in braids. Angel, he missed. I don't know if he did like a spinning dive to the floor, and I don't know if Brian failed to catch him. Something went wrong there. Then Angel had slipped off the second rope, but still managed to execute a flying body press. And then he climbed to the top rope, and then he accidentally fell. And I remember while I was there at the show live, after Angel fell off the top rope, not by mistake, at that point I yelled, "Brian, end this shit now!" And I guess he must have heard me, because he picked Angel up for like some kind of a like the Goldust curtain call, but he did it when he twisted him around. Well, they both twisted, and Brian XL picked up the victory over Angel Jr. or Angel Maximo. Then it was on to the main show, as we kick off with Hot Stuff Eddie Guapo. He went one-on-one with Ken Scampi, who was accompanied to the ring by Tara Charisma and Mega. Enjoyed this matchup. I know Scampi used the blockbuster neckbreaker that Buff Bagwell was known for. Not sure if that's how the match ended, but I know Ken Scampi did pick up the victory. After the match, Tara Charisma and Mega come in the ring, and they're celebrating the win. And these perverts in the crowd, they were like wanting Tara to show her breasts, and at one point, they were throwing money towards the ring, like they'd have a fucking chance. And at one point, Tara pulled down Scampi's straps, exposing his chest. But then, all of a sudden, out comes Prince Nana, and he was a Mega scheduled opponent. Nana gets the microphone. He tells the DJ to turn the music off, and rest DJ Anthony's soul, but his microphones were not so great. Could never understand wrestlers doing their promos, or even when ring announcer Steven DeAngelis was introducing wrestlers, especially with the crowd making noise, the music playing. I'm sorry, rest DJ Anthony's soul, but those microphones were not so great. Or they didn't work so great, for that matter. And I forgot what happened. I think Nana grabbed Tara by the hair out on the floor. Scampi came to her aid. They're brawling, going at it. Nana eventually turned down. Tara slaps Nana in the face. He gets in the ring, and his match with Mega was on. And this was actually a return bout from Uprising in Passaic, New Jersey a month earlier, where Mega was victorious. But on this occasion, Mega missed an avalanche in the corner, and Nana hit a DDT and pinned Mega to pick up the victory. Next up was a triple threat match for the USA Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championship, as Drew Blood and Devin Moore, not sure if they were known as Notorious Incorporated yet, along with Cash and Chaos, later became K Murda and K Pusher, All Money is Legal. They were a great team, as both teams challenged Casey Blade and EC Negro, the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. One funny moment before, as a DRS, his music was playing and they had yet to come out, one half of All Money is Legal took his bandana, put it on Ref Hansen's head, and they're like trying to get him to dance, and he's dancing, and then he's, trying to keep a straight face as he's dancing. Took the bandana off and handed it back to one half of All Money is Legal. The match was on. DRS, I miss those guys in the ring. I know they kept leaving and coming back through the years. The Scoundrels were victorious, defeating All Money is Legal and Drew Blood and Devin Moore to retain the USA Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championship. Next up, a great singles match which saw Maniac Mike Mayhem do battle with the Grim Reaper. Now, there were as I mentioned about those perverts who were wanting Tara Charisma to show her breasts to them and throwing money towards her. One of them had a microphone you could plug into a stereo or a speaker. And at one point, Mayhem's coming to the ring, and the guy's got the microphone. He says, "Tell us about your match." And he tries to get Mayhem to speak into the microphone. And eventually, the match was on, and I forgot how this one ended, but the Grim Reaper defeated Maniac Mike Mayhem to win that matchup. Yeah, up next was tag team action, as we saw The Solution, Papa Don and his late tag team partner Havoc, do battle with Danny Drake and Mike Tobin, the Boogie Knights, who came to the ring decked out in Cobra Kai attire. Cobra Kai was the karate dojo featured in the Karate Kid films. They were dressed in black and gold. This match was supposed to happen a month earlier at Uprising, but it didn't because Danny Drake had a family emergency. So Tobin went the previous month at Uprising in Passaic, New Jersey. Tobin's in the ring with Ecstasy. That's who it was. Not the drug. Ecstasy, spelled with an X. Not sure if her real name is Stacy, though. Not certain. She and Tobin in the ring at Uprising the previous month at Passaic. That Drake had a family emergency. The Solution came out, attacked Tobin until Just Incredible had saved him. So this time the match is on. As I said, the Boogie Knights came out all decked out in Cobra Kai attire. And I forgot how it ended, but the Boogie Knights are victorious over the Solution. After the match, Solution attacked them, or tried to attack them. Both Knights kicked both members of Solution in the gut, and then they both did the famous crane kick that Ralph Macchio was known for, which enabled him to win the Daniel LaRusso to win the karate championship over Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka. And they fell out to the ring. At that point, I know they did go to intermission at that show. All right. Then we come back. Yeah, we come back from intermission, and we have Guillotine LeGrand comes out to the ring. He gets a hold of the microphone, and he's constantly tapping it, trying to do a mic check that took 20 dang years. And at that point, he finally speaks into it and says, "Is this thing on?" And of course, most people said no. And he introduced the SAT, Jose and Joel Maximo, to the crowd, and out came their opponents, Mace Mendoza and Buff E, the Christopher Street Connection. And I don't know if the SAT were supposed to be the heels in this, because one Maximo ripped up a sign that somebody from the crowd brought to the show. Can't really remember much. Again, I haven't watched this show in ages because I have it on videotape. But the SAT were victorious over the Christopher Street Connection. Okay, next up was a match for the Premier Wrestling Federation Women's Championship. This was a promotion that ran in the state of Pennsylvania It was run by, I think, Steve Carino and Rob Dimension. I know it wasn't Rob Feinstein, but, well, apologies if I got as far as Rob Dimension, if that's not his name. As we saw Alexis Lurie, Mickie James, defend against Simply Luscious. Now, Simply Luscious, of course, was in Ring of Honor as part of Christopher Daniels' Prophecy. And then she eventually started hanging around with Steve Carino, part of a faction simply known as The Group, which was Carino, Luscious, Samoa Joe, C.W. Anderson, and Michael Shane. Okay? The ladies, I forgot how this one ended too, but Simply Luscious defeated Alexis Reed to become the new PWF Women's Champion. Next, out comes Human Highlight. Human Highlight, Billy Real, and I forgot what he did to Alexis, Mickie, but Real was set to face Joey Matthews for the Super J or Super Juniors Championship, which was another return bout from Uprising a month earlier in Passaic, New Jersey. The match was on. Alexis Lurie eventually came back out. Joey Matthews puts her on top of Billy Real, and Alexis Lurie was declared the new ICW Super J or Super Juniors champion. Okay, next up was single competition as Johnny Cashmere of the Backseat Boys challenged the all-around best Xavier, rest his soul, for the Northeastern Championship. Pretty good match those guys had, and Xavier defeated Cashmere to retain the Northeastern Championship. Okay, not sure if this match was next, but what was billed as a dream match, the late Trent Acid went one-on-one with the Amazing Red in a very good matchup, which saw and the match is somewhere on YouTube, folks. The Amazing Red defeated Trent Acid. Like I said, I don't know if that was next, or maybe this match was right after. This next match I'm about to tell you might have been right after Xavier and Cashmere. It was scheduled to be the Hit Squad, Monster Mac and Dan Mafia Moff against the Carnage Crew, H.C. Loke and Tony DeVito. Now, what happened was, in the last month or so, leading up to this event, the Hit Squad was breaking up in promotions. They had broke up in Ring of Honor when Dan Moff joined Christopher Daniels' Prophecy. Moff had become the Jersey All Pro Wrestling Heavyweight title, so they had pretty much broke up in JP, and I don't know where else they were breaking up in. But what happened was Monster Mac comes out saying that Moff was sick, and Moff introduced Confederate courtesy, Chris Hamrick, who was part of the dying days of ECW. He came out to, of all songs, the theme from the television show The Dukes of Hazzard. And, yeah, just the good old boys, never meaning no harm. In case you didn't know, I mean, if you don't remember that, then you probably weren't born yet, or never watched the show back then. Okay, I forgot, DeVito said something on the microphone, and Hamrick, he takes the mic, and he says, "You know, that's great coming from Vic Grimes' left nut." And Monster Mac it burst into laughter at that point. And I think they decided to make the match a street fight or a hardcore match. And the match was on. The four of them eventually went into the crowd. Then ICW owner, well, actually, not only then owner, but founding father Jack Sabbath, along with Harry Slash, who was, there's a name from the past. He was, I believe, the booker at the time. They go into the crowd along with Atlas Security, trying to keep the fans away, keep every fan safe and stuff. At one point, I noticed, I don't even know if Atlas Security is even around anymore, but Ronnie Lang, the gentleman with the long hair, at one point he says something to DeVito, and DeVito looked right at him. He says, "Fuck you, Atlas," and Ronnie just threw his hands up like he just didn't know what to do, and Eventually, they went back to the ring, and I forgot how the match ended. Darn it, I forgot how the match ended, but Monster Mac and Chris Hamrick were victorious over the Carnage crew, and I believe did the Carnage crew attack afterwards? Because the Boogie Knights, I think they saved Mac, or maybe this was for a future show. And I'll apologize if I got it wrong, folks. No, actually, it was this show, actually. I'm sorry. The Boogie Knights saved Mac and Hamrick, and Danny Drake mentioned about a year or so before this that they fought in JP, and that's how Drake had gotten injured when he didn't make the wall spot at Old Charity Hall in Bayonne, New Jersey. Okay. But then it was time for the main event of this event, which we saw two heavyweight championships on the line, as it was ICW heavyweight champion Justin Credible versus the notorious 187 Homicide versus Jerry Lynn versus PWF heavyweight champion Steve Corino in a four-way elimination matchup. First Homicide made Jerry Lynn tap out to the STF, which I was surprised Jerry was the first one eliminated from this match. And now, at one point in the match, Homicide fell to the outside. And as I mentioned about these guys with their microphone, they all had a bunch of signs with them. And what happened was Homicide fell out to the floor right in front of them, and they're draping their signs over Homicide. But then Homicide started to get up. I guess the fans all got scared, and at that point, Atlas Security walks over and told those guys to leave. And Homicide's looking at the situation before he went back to the ring. I forgot. I think it was Corino he pinned Homicide, I believe, to eliminate him from the matchup. Those guys that were told to leave, they came back in. Atlas told them to get out again. They come back in a second time. And then one, not Ronnie Lang, but one member of Atlas Security put one of them in like a nerve hold, and I don't know if he threw him down on the floor or threw him down the staircase. I'll get back to that shortly. Eventually, the match ended when Justin Credible pinned Steve Corino with That's Incredible, the corkscrew, or just the tombstone pile driver. Credible scored the pinfall to defeat Steve Corino, Jerry Lynn, and Homicide to retain the ICW Heavyweight Championship and to become the new PWF Heavyweight Champion. Now, I remember after the show was over and everybody's leaving, I go down the stairs and I saw like police cars outside. So I don't know if those fans called the cops on Atlas Security, or if they ended up pressing charges, or if those fans got arrested, or what ended up happening. But truth be told, I didn't stick around to see what did happen. Now, this was a great event. I mean, ICW would not let me down over the years. It's the first indie I followed, for those who do not know. There was some good stuff on here, and I don't think it was, except the only thing that let me down was, not really because they were pre-show matches, but yeah, I mean, there were fans pooping on Angel Maximo, Angel Jr., with his mess ups in the match. Yeah. Okay. So, folks, let me know what you think of this. The next ICW event I will review is Maximum Impact, the show where the one event where we all thought that really was the end of ICW. Hope you enjoyed this one, folks.